The sheet was still warm. That was the first thing I noticed when I pulled it back, right before I saw her earring on his pillow. Gold, twisted like a serpent, and definitely not mine. My breath caught. The room smelled like sex and her perfume. Something floral. Too sweet. The kind that sticks to your skin like lies. I stood there, in his shirt, the one he always told me looked better on me than on him. My toes curled against the cold floor while my heart screamed beneath my ribs. I wasn't supposed to be here. Not at this hour. Not on this day. But he forgot to lock the door. The bed wasn't just unmade. It was wrecked. Torn at the corners. Pillows tossed. And then I saw it, her bra draped on the lamp like some kind of goddamn trophy. I wanted to laugh. Or scream. Or throw something. But all I did was whisper the same thing over and over. He said I was the only one. I wasn't even angry. Not yet. I was frozen in a moment that had cracked me open, one slow second at a time. And just when I turned to leave, I heard the shower shut off, and her voice say, "Did you start the coffee, babe? Before I tell you what happened next, make sure you're somewhere private, because this story isn't just messy. It's devastating." I met Daniel at a rooftop party I didn't even want to go to. It was one of those nights where the air buzzed with too much alcohol and too little sincerity. I'd just gotten out of a 2-year relationship with a guy who couldn't remember my birthday without checking Facebook. So yeah, I wasn't exactly emotionally available. But Daniel? He made me feel like I was the only woman on the damn planet. He was tall, confident, with that perfectly disheveled hair that made it look like he just rolled out of bed but somehow still belonged in a magazine spread. We locked eyes across the bar and it felt cliché as hell, but I swear something clicked. He smiled, lifted his drink in a lazy salute, and 15 minutes later, we were talking like old friends. I remember the first thing he said to me. "Your ex must have been an idiot." I laughed, but he didn't. "I'm serious," he said. "You deserve better. Someone who sees you." That night, he walked me to my car and didn't even ask to come up. No kiss. No pressure. Just a warm "text me when you're home safe" and a look that said he could wait. I should have known right then. Real predators don't pounce. They circle. The text started slow, sweet. A meme here, a song there. Then voice notes. Long, breathy confessions about how he couldn't stop thinking about me. About how different I was from the girls he usually met. And I was starving for attention. For tenderness. For someone who wanted me, not just my body or what I could offer. He came over 2 weeks later with Thai food and a bottle of wine. Said he wanted to feed me before he fell in love with me. I melted. We talked all night, curled up on my couch like two puzzle pieces that had been apart too long. I told him things I hadn't even told my therapist. Childhood wounds, fears, all of it. He just listened. Held my hand like it was the most natural thing in the world. And the sex? God. It was intense. Not just the physical part, but the way he looked at me, like he was memorizing every inch. He whispered things in the dark that stitched themselves into my skin. "You're all I've ever wanted. I don't want anyone else. Stay." So I stayed. Within a month, I was basically living at his place. He gave me a drawer, a toothbrush. He cooked, cleaned, called me baby in front of his friends. He even introduced me to his mom over FaceTime. And she said, "So this is the girl you've been bragging about." I smiled so hard my cheeks hurt. I thought I'd won. But then things started to shift. He became harder to reach during the day. Said work was crazy, or his phone was dying constantly. He canceled a weekend trip we'd planned to the lake house, said his sister had a breakdown and needed him. I believed him. Because that's what you do when someone's made you feel safe. You assume they're still being honest, even when the signs scream otherwise. The first red flag slapped me in the face one Thursday night when I tagged him in a story. I was cuddled in his hoodie, captioned "missing him." He didn't repost it. Didn't even reply. When I asked why, he laughed. "I just don't want people all in our business, babe." That babe suddenly didn't feel so warm. The next week, I came over without warning. I had picked up his favorite pastries and thought I'd surprise him. The doorman smiled. "You just missed him," he said. "Left with someone about 10 minutes ago." "New girl?" My stomach flipped. "New girl?" I asked, forcing a laugh. He shrugged. "Yeah. That tall one with the red hair. She's been around a lot lately." I told myself it was nothing. A cousin, maybe. A friend. I even texted him, "Just dropped by. Guess I missed you. Everything okay?" He replied an hour later, "Sorry, babe. Helping my sister move. Phone died. Love you." I wanted to believe him. I needed to believe him. But that night, I couldn't sleep. I scrolled through his Instagram, looked at the comments, the likes. Found one profile that kept showing up. Her name was Lila. And her bio? Redhead in love. I clicked it. Private. But the profile picture was enough, her head on his chest, that same snake earring she must have dropped later. The one I'd find on his pillow weeks from now. I stared at the screen until the tears blurred it out of existence. But I didn't confront him. Not then. Not yet. Because when you fall for someone too fast, you don't just grieve the loss of them, you grieve the version of you that believed every lie. And I wasn't ready to let her go yet. The first time I truly questioned my place in Daniel's life, it wasn't the lipstick stain on his shirt or the late replies. It was the way he looked at me during sex. Detached. Like he was chasing a high he couldn't quite reach with me anymore. Like I was a substitute for someone he missed. I started to track patterns, how he always turned his phone face down, how he took longer showers with the door locked, how he became allergic to plans. Every time I asked about something small, like why he was online at 3 a.m. or why he suddenly didn't want me at his apartment without notice, he'd flip it back on me. "You're paranoid," he'd snap. "Jesus, I thought you trusted me." And I'd backpedal. Every time. Until the day it all cracked wide open. I was scrolling TikTok when Lila's face popped up. Same red hair, same snake earrings. She was doing one of those soft "get ready with me" videos, brushing highlighter across her cheeks while talking about her boyfriend. We've been dating 6 months, she said casually, and he still gets butterflies. 6 months. I checked the upload date. It had been posted yesterday. My heart started sprinting. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't look away. She didn't say his name. But she showed his dog. His freaking dog. Rex. The little pit mix with the weird ear and the obsession with tennis balls. She filmed herself tossing him one and said, "Daddy's gonna love this footage." I felt like someone had punched a hole straight through my chest. There he was. My boyfriend. The man I thought I knew. In the background of a stranger's video, tying his shoelaces like he hadn't built 2 worlds on opposite shores. That night, I didn't sleep. I watched every video she ever posted. In one, he was singing to her while driving. In another, he was cooking her pasta in his kitchen, our kitchen. And suddenly, all the weird behavior made sense. The lies, the sudden family emergencies, the vanishing weekends. He wasn't cheating on me. I was the other woman. I felt disgusting. Humiliated. I wanted to tear my skin off and start over. But the worst part? I still loved him. I still wanted to believe he could fix this. That maybe she was the mistake, not me. So I did something I'm not proud of. I messaged her. I didn't threaten. I didn't accuse. I just said, "Hi. I think we need to talk. I've been seeing Daniel for 5 months. I didn't know about you. I'm sorry." No response. Not for days. Until one morning, a reply hit my inbox. "Come over. He's in the shower." My fingers trembled as I typed the address into my phone. It wasn't the one I knew. It was somewhere across town. A loft. She even had a key. Of course she did. When I walked in, she didn't even flinch. She was beautiful, like the kind of girl that made you question your self-worth on sight. She was calm, collected, sipping coffee like this was a normal Wednesday. "Want some?" she asked. I shook my head. She pointed to the hallway. "He has no idea. Let's not waste it." I didn't even know what I was walking toward. My legs just moved. Half fueled by adrenaline, half by something darker, vindication maybe. Or rage. Or whatever comes right before heartbreak decides to turn into revenge. I opened the bedroom door slowly. Quietly. There were wet footprints on the floor. His towel was draped on the bed. And then I saw it. Another bra. Not mine. Not Lila's. A third woman. I blinked. Froze. My whole body turned to ice. I backed out, nearly tripping over a sneaker, and returned to the kitchen where Lila stood, arms crossed, like she already knew. "I've found 3, she said flatly. "You're number 2. I sat down. Couldn't speak. "I only invited you because I needed to see it for myself," she continued. "I needed to know I wasn't the crazy one." And then he appeared. Hair wet. Shirtless. Smirking like nothing in the world could touch him. Until he saw us. Both of us. Sitting at his table. Together. "Shit," he muttered. That was all he said. Not "I'm sorry." Not "it's not what it looks like." Just shit, like we were an inconvenience. Like we were both late to a party he didn't want anymore. And in that moment, I felt nothing. Not sadness. Not rage. Just a strange, hollow calm. "You lied to us," I said quietly. He shrugged. "I didn't promise you anything." Lila threw her coffee cup. It shattered against the wall, dark liquid dripping like blood. I walked out before I did something worse. But that was the moment everything inside me broke. Not because he cheated. Not because I was the other woman. But because I had willingly handed over all my power, and he didn't even care enough to lie properly. I told myself I was done. I deleted his number. Blocked him on every platform. Swore I'd never let a man like Daniel near my heart again. I even burned his hoodie, the one I used to fall asleep in, pretending it was his arms. The smell of cotton and cologne turned into smoke and ash. I felt lighter watching it curl into the night. But grief is funny. It doesn't always show up crying. Sometimes it's quiet. It waits in the background like a loaded gun. Weeks passed. I went back to therapy. I went on walks. I swiped through dating apps but couldn't bring myself to meet anyone. I felt hollow. Like Daniel had carved out a part of me and taken it with him. My friends said I dodged a bullet. That I was lucky to find out when I did. But I didn't feel lucky. I felt humiliated. I felt disposable. And then, one night, just as I was starting to feel okay again, he texted me. "Daniel, I miss you." I fucked up. I stared at the screen like it was poison. My hands shook. My mind screamed, "Don't you dare respond." But my heart? My heart was still chained to a fantasy. One where he came back honest. One where he meant it. I didn't reply. Not that night. But the next day, there were flowers on my doorstep. Peonies. My favorite. No card. Just a text that said, "I remembered." I wish I could say I stayed strong. That I threw the flowers out and blocked his number again. But no. I texted back, "Why now?" He called instantly. His voice cracked as he said my name. He sounded broken. Said Lila was gone. That she moved out. That he'd been spiraling. That he missed me. "I've never stopped thinking about you," he whispered. "I know I don't deserve it, but can we talk?" So I went. I didn't tell anyone. I told myself it was for closure. That I needed to hear the apology to move on. But deep down, I already knew I was about to undo everything I'd built. He opened the door looking like hell, messy hair, red eyes, wearing the same hoodie I'd burned. The same one he kept at his place. I almost cried. We didn't talk long. He pulled me into his arms and said, "I'm so sorry." He said he was scared. That I got too close. That I made him feel things he hadn't felt in years. I knew it was manipulative. I knew. But the way he held me, the way he kissed me like I was the last thing keeping him breathing. We ended up in his bed. Again. And for a second, I felt whole. Like the broken version of me had disappeared and we were back in those first warm weeks, laughing, touching, loving like nothing else existed. But the morning after was different. He wasn't warm. He wasn't affectionate. He rolled over and grabbed his phone first. I watched the light from the screen dance across his face as he smiled, then turned the screen away. My gut twisted. I asked, "Who are you texting?" He replied, "No one." I should have left right then. Should have slapped him, screamed, stormed out. But I just lay there, watching my own humiliation repeat itself. Later that week, I found out he was seeing someone new. Not Lila. Not me. Someone else. A girl from his gym. Blonde. Instagram full of workout selfies and smoothie bowls. I only knew because the algorithm decided to show me her story, her hand in his car. His laugh in the background. A slow-motion video of them kissing in his kitchen. Our kitchen. The same counter where he told me he loved me. The same stove where he made me pancakes. The same room where he asked me to move in. I felt sick. I didn't confront him. There was nothing left to say. I'd walked back into hell with open arms and expected a different kind of fire. But it was the same. Just hotter this time. Because now I couldn't pretend I didn't know better. The worst part? I missed him after all of it. That's the sick thing. Love doesn't leave just because the person turns out to be a monster. It lingers. It haunts. It makes you question yourself more than them. And somewhere in all that wreckage, I realized Daniel never loved me. He loved being adored. He loved the way I made him feel like a god. And when that high wore off, he moved on to his next believer. I was just another worshiper in a long line of girls kneeling for scraps of affection. And I hated myself for still wanting more. It had been almost 3 months since I'd last seen Daniel. The ghost of him still lingered in the back of my mind, especially in those quiet moments before sleep, when my brain liked to replay the lies on a loop. I tried to forget. I tried everything: yoga, therapy, deleting his photos, even dating someone new. But nothing scrubbed him out completely. Until Lila messaged me again. Her message was short: "I know about the night you went back to him. Can we talk?" My stomach dropped. I hadn't told anyone, not my friends, not my therapist. I had buried that night deep beneath shame and regret. But she knew. And somehow, I wasn't surprised. Daniel never kept secrets for long. Not the kind that fed his ego. We agreed to meet at a little cafe downtown, one of those cozy places with mismatched mugs and indie music playing too loud. She was already there when I arrived, arms crossed, eyes red, a half-drunk latte in front of her. "I'm not here to fight," she said as I sat down. "I just want to know the truth." So I told her everything. From the flowers to the apology. From the bed to the silence after. Every ugly detail. I didn't cry. I didn't hold back. And she didn't interrupt, not once. She just stared at me, as if watching her own heartbreak being played back by another actress. When I finished, there was a long pause. Then she said, "He told me you stalked him. That you were obsessed." I laughed, bitter. Of course he did. He said you tried to break us up. That you made the whole thing up to get attention. I looked her straight in the eye. Do I look like I won? She nodded slowly. No. You look like me. She pulled out her phone and showed me something. A voice note. I knew that voice instantly, Daniel's low, velvety tone, the one he used when he wanted to sound sincere. I don't love her, he said on the recording. She's just someone I used to F*******. I never promised her anything. She got attached. It's not my fault. My chest burned. It wasn't just the words. It was the casualness. Like I was gum he'd scraped off his shoe. I found that 2 nights ago, Lila whispered. It was recorded by accident. I was going through my files and there it was. We sat in silence for a while. The coffee grew cold. The music shifted. Then she said something that changed everything. I want to ruin him. At first, I didn't respond. But then, I leaned in. I'm listening. Lila had a plan. She'd already started gathering screenshots, messages, timelines. She was meticulous. She had dates, voice notes, photos, receipts that painted a clear portrait of the man Daniel really was. A man who spun women like plates until they cracked and called them crazy when they shattered. I should have walked away. Should have let karma handle it. But something inside me, something raw and aching, wanted to be a part of it. Not because I hated him. But because I needed closure. And revenge? Sometimes, it tastes a lot like healing. We made an anonymous Instagram account. Posted everything. Not in one dump, but in parts. Each post told a piece of the story. Screenshots with dates. Voicemails layered over music. Even photos of us with timestamps overlapping. We never named him, but we didn't need to. Everyone in his circle knew. By the time the 3rd post dropped, we were flooded with DMs from other women. Some we'd never met. One had dated him 4 years ago. Another? Just 2 months back. They all had the same story. Same manipulation. Same playbook. We weren't special. We were just next. The account went viral within a week. One of his exes tagged his gym. Another one left reviews on his business page. His perfect, curated world cracked like glass under a hammer. He deleted his socials. Then his number changed. Then, he vanished. And I wish I could tell you that I felt triumphant. But I didn't. I felt hollow again. Just for a moment. Because revenge doesn't fill the hole. It only closes the chapter. The healing? That came later. When I saw Lila a month after it all exploded, she looked lighter. She'd cut her hair. I'd gotten a tattoo, just a tiny lightning bolt behind my ear. A reminder of everything that had struck me down and forced me to rebuild. I don't think I'll ever trust again, I told her. She sipped her tea and smiled. You will. Just not like before. Now you'll ask the questions you were too scared to ask. And she was right. Because I do trust again. But I trust myself more. I trust my gut when something feels off. I trust my heart to walk away, even when it's still breaking. I trust that I deserve more than half-truths and love that feels like a trick. Daniel? He was a lesson. A brutal, beautiful, necessary one. And I'll never be that girl again. Not for him. Not for anyone.